What's going on, guys? So there's a lot of stuff going on today. Obviously, Iran and Israel's like taking over all of the news coverage because it's like a very big event, and there's still the possibility people are worried or not sure if the U.S. is going to join the fight or what they're going to do, or if they're even considering that, or if they're just going down there for security. So that's happening. And then in addition to that, there's still the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. We're going to talk about a specific event where a guy narrowly avoided being hit by a drone, and we're going to talk about some other things that have been happening. So let's get to it. So on June 18th, 2025, Iran claimed to have shot down an Israeli Air Force Hermes 900 long-endurance tactical unmanned aerial vehicle over Isfahan province in central Iran, which would mark the very first confirmed instance of Iran successfully downing an Israeli aircraft during this ongoing conflict. Now, Iranian state media, including IRIB broadcast footage showing wreckage that matches the distinctive shape and markings of the Hermes 900, providing apparent confirmation of the incident through visual representation. The drone was reportedly intercepted by Iranian air defenses around 5 a.m. local time before it could deploy its weapons while on a mission to track and locate missile launchers in the region, likely the surface-to-surface missile launchers that they've been trying to degrade and destroy to prevent the Iranian government from continuing to launch missiles into Israel. So the use of helicopters to shoot down Shahed drones in Israel and Ukraine have become a very common, notable tactic in response to the increasing threat of these low-cost, long-range unmanned aerial vehicles. While not the primary method of countering drones, it's definitely been employed in both countries because it's an effective way to take them out, especially since Shahed drones travel at a relatively low speed. Like I said, it's not the primary way that they take these things down, but a lot of their air defenses have been particularly strained, especially from all the large salvos that have been sent from Iran to Israel and the large salvos that have been sent from Russia to Ukraine. In Ukraine, helicopter shooting down Shahed drones has become relatively established, though it's not the dominant way that they destroy them, and it's been a pretty common thing that you've seen over there since probably mid-2024. Shahed drones are relatively slow, like I said. They travel around 115 miles per hour when they're cruising, and they're extremely loud, making it easy for people to detect them, and also making it easy for helicopters like the Mi-8 or Mi-24 or any gunships that the Israeli Air Force has or Israeli military has to target them. In addition to it being an effective way to take them down, it's also cost-effective because machine gun rounds are a lot cheaper than air-to-air missiles or surface-to-air missiles. So on June 18th of 2025, reports confirmed that Iran was experiencing a near-total national internet blackout, severely limiting connectivity across the country. This incident followed a series of partial internet disruptions and coincided with the escalating military tensions with Israel, marked by days of mutual missile strikes back and forth. The blackout was reported first by a group called NetBlocks on X, which is a group that monitors global internet connectivity, and they noted a significant reduction in internet traffic, likely restricting public access to information during a critical period. Iran's cyber authority attributed the outages to a large-scale cyber attack that was allegedly launched by Israel amid claims of heightened regional conflict. Now, the post I'm referring to by NetBlocks says, confirmed. Live network data shows Iran is now in the midst of a near-total national internet blackout. The incident follows a series of earlier partial disruptions and comes amid escalating military tensions with Israel after days of back-and-forth missile strikes. Now, Iran's government has a history of restricting internet access during times of unrest or conflict, notably in the 2019 mass protests that they had in the country. The current blackout was described as a measure to counter foreign cyber attacks, although it limited civilians' ability to communicate or access external information. Even tools like WhatsApp or VPNs were reportedly heavily exacerbating the isolation of Iran's population. Now, these internet blackouts have raised concerns about information suppression, with Iranian authorities providing little guidance to civilians on safety or evacuation ongoing strikes. The situation fueled panic, particularly in Tehran, where residents face challenges fleeing due to closed airports, blocked roads, and overwhelmed infrastructure. The lack of internet access has likely compounded difficulties in coordinating responses or sharing real-time updates on the conflict. Now, the situation is going to continue to remain fluid, with the blackout potentially influencing both domestic unrest and international perceptions of the conflict. And without independent verification, the exact cause, whether a deliberate government shutdown or cyber attack or a combination of the two, remains uncertain, but the timing suggests a strategic response to the ongoing military escalation. Either way, NetBlocks is just another resource to kind of monitor updates about connectivity tracking, especially in regards to conflicts. All right, so if you look up there, you can see what I've circled is a FPV drone, a fiber optically controlled FPV drone, and it narrowly missed this dude by mere inches. Anyway, let's watch the clip.
Что на комментируешь?
It's crazy because just a few inches meant the difference between life or death for that guy. FPV drones have obviously become proliferated across the battlefield, and I'm sure that they probably got some sort of jamming devices on their vehicle, because most of the vehicles over in Ukraine at this point do, because that's become part of the integrated battle systems that everybody's got around carrying with them, because if you can at least mitigate some of the threat, they're gonna do that. So they probably had some sort of jamming gear on this, or someone in the vicinity of them probably had jamming gear, but there's nothing you can do about FPV drones that are attached to fiber optic cables. But there's next to nothing that you can do about a FPV drone that's controlled through fiber optic cables, because you can't jam them. It's a one-way, like, point-to-point control, and that dude is unbelievably lucky to be alive. So there's been recent reports coming out that indicate that Israel conducted some airstrikes on an Iranian military base in the Kermanshah region. When they conducted this airstrike, they were targeting AH-1 Cobra attack helicopters, among other various assets that they had on the ground. Some sources specifically claim that the Israeli Air Force destroyed 3 AH-1 Juliet Cobra helicopters, referred to by Iran as the Panhad 2091 Tufan, after domestic upgrades. Other sources are reporting, however, that there's been up to 5 helicopters destroyed. Now, these helicopters were originally supplied to Iran by the United States in the 1970s under the Shah's regime, and are probably 50 years old and have been maintained despite the international sanctions that have been placed on the country due to what they've been doing for the past few decades. Now, Iran's Tufan upgrades include modernized avionics and weapon systems, but the helicopters are considered outdated compared to Israel's advanced air capabilities that they have, because they haven't been under sanction. Now, the Israeli Defense Forces stated that the targeted helicopters were intended to counter Israeli aircraft operating in Iranian airspace, posing a strategic threat. The strikes are part of Operation Rising Lion, which was launched on June 13th of 2025, and were supported by precise intelligence and aimed at degrading Iran's rotary wing capabilities. There's been black and white footage that was released by the IDF, purportedly showing the destruction of the helicopters at the Kermanshah Air Base. That being said, there's been some people posting around various locations suggesting that the destroyed aircraft might have been decoys, as they appeared unusual, raising questions about the operation's effectiveness. Now, currently, Iran has not commented on the losses, and the actual condition of the helicopters prior to the strike still remains unclear, with some reports noting that there were significant losses during the Iran-Iraq war. But regardless, this operation reflects Israel's broader campaign to neutralize Iran's military assets, including nuclear facilities, missile launchers, and other various military assets amid escalating tensions. Now, whether it was 3 or it was 5, I'm not 100% sure, because it seems like the various people that were talking about it weren't sure either, but most of the people I've seen have said 3, as long as they weren't decoys. All right, so obviously a lot to unpack. I know there's a lot of stuff going on, and I'm going to try to keep covering as much as I can each day. It's tough, because there's a lot of things happening, and it's all happening so fast and so rapidly. Sometimes it's very hard to keep up with. So I'll try to get as much information out to you guys as possible, and try to provide some sort of contextual evidence, so that way you guys can see, like, hey, where this is coming from, and like who's saying these things, or at least what people are talking about. So hope you enjoy the video. I appreciate you guys showing up. Let me know in the comments what you thought about it, and I will see you in the next video.